Hello and welcome to King Power Stadium here on this Wednesday evening for Leicester City's final pre-season game of the summer. Spanish side Villarreal and the Europa League winners are the visitors here this evening for this final friendly, of course, ahead of Saturday's Community Shield with Manchester City. Joining me, Dan Bates, this evening, as ever, is Jerry Taggart, former Leicester defender. How are you, Jerry? It's the final pre-season game, as we've said, of the summer. How are you feeling ahead of it?
Yeah, it's great to be back at King Power Stadium, isn't it? Again, it's going to be a decent crowd in tonight by all accounts. Nice sunny evening. The Europa League champions swinging into town. So, you know, all the makings of a really good game this evening. Yeah,
Jerry's referenced the fans there. We're expecting roughly 17,000 at least here inside. So it's fantastic to have them. I know there were a number here, weren't there, for the Spurs game at the end of last season. Yeah. But this will be almost double that, if not double that. So it's great to see.
Yeah, I think the fans, the atmosphere will also help to the pace of the game. We've seen from the game on Saturday against QPR, even though there wasn't that many fans in the stadium, because it was such a tightly packed little stadium, there was a great atmosphere inside it. And you've seen what happened. There was a few fireworks that went off on Saturday. We finally got our first goals of pre-season, which always helps, especially when you're a striker. With Patson Daka, we'll talk about him a bit later. But I think again tonight, you know, the opposition has been ramped up yet again from Brendan Rodgers. A good European side coming to King Power. A good crowd in here that should get the guys going. We should be in for a good one.
Yeah, we spoke about it on Saturday, didn't we, before the game? The way the schedule this pre-season has gone, we've seen two League One teams, then the Championship team Saturday, and now, as we've referenced, a big team from Spain, Europa League winners.
Yeah, that's right. They're over here in England for a couple of pre-season games themselves. And tonight, obviously, it's Leicester's turn to face them. You know, they've won the Europa League, so, you know, they come here with great pedigree. Yes, they finished, I think it was 7th in the Spanish League last year, but they go automatically into the Champions League because they're winning that. So this is a really good test. Different style of football, probably, than what we're used to seeing in the Premier League. But again, it's going to be a great learning curve, especially for some of those young players.
If you just heard a bit of a round of applause in and around us, we have got the Leicester fans literally a couple of metres behind the cameras there. It's because Kasper Schmeichel went back down the tunnel, clearly, I don't know, to change his gloves. Don't know what it might have been, Jerry, but it's great to see him back, isn't it? He was really the last one of the main first team back again in pre-season.
Yeah, you could have almost written it, couldn't you? You know, for Kasper coming back for a big game like tonight. And yes, it's pre-season, but these sort of games have that competitive feel to them. You know, they really do, even though there's nothing at stake, because it's a team with a calibre of Villarreal coming into town tonight, because it's in front of your first game of pre-season, in front of your own fans, it just adds that little bit of extra spice. So no surprise to see Kasper back behind, or in the middle of the sticks tonight.
How competitive do you think it will be this evening? And again, we can hear the crowd, just for simple things as the players and a couple of Villarreal players coming out now to see the pitch. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and as you said, that will probably lend itself to the actual game itself.
Yeah, I think, you know, going back to Saturday's game against QPR, and the atmosphere there, the fans inside that stadium obviously helped, you know, the tempo of the game, the opportunities that arose in the game, and maybe some of the mistakes that arose as well. But yes, it's a friendly, and yes, it's about all the things we've spoken about over pre-season, getting minutes under your belt, getting the miles inside your legs, getting used to playing with some new players that have all, you know, obviously come into the side. But you can't take away that little competitive edge that you have as a professional footballer. And I'm sure that you'll see some of that tonight in this game.
Yeah, it certainly was a competitive second half at Loftus Road against QPR. Let's take a look back at some of the best bits from that game on Saturday.
Dickey picks out Odi Badru. And here is Willock. Chair, no centre of gravity, gets it back to Willock. A lovely move. And they're in behind again, and Charlie Austin scores. A rocket of a finish. And on half-time, it's QPR who strike first. Brilliant goal from Charlie Austin.
I mean, it's really good play by QPR, from Chair, from Willock. Again, we talked about that movement off the ball, and And then it comes to Charlie Austin in the box. You know, he's a predator. He's a really good finisher. It's his first chance. 1 out of 1. It's a brilliant finish. It really is into that top corner. But, you know, really composed play by QPR. Is there a lot Leicester could have done about it? And maybe a little bit of ball watching.
And they've taken it short again to Willock. Just had that blistering hit. It's back to Charlie Austin, and the flick goalwards is turned home. It is 2-0 to Queen's Park Rangers, and their players deserved an early goal in this second half. I think it's Johan Barbe who has got it, and this is a mountain to climb now for Leicester City in this pre-season friendly.
Yeah, it is, you know, but QPR are just a little bit bright at the moment. Take the corner nice and quickly and nice and short. Look like it's over here. Win the first header, a delightful little ball back in. I can't see it, it's on the edge of the box. Maybe it's Wallace. Win the first flick from Charlie Austin, I believe, and the defender's there. Is it offside? I'm not sure, but QPR are just a little bit brighter at the moment.
Well, when you know being that Albert Adoma isn't necessarily in your best 11 at this stage of the season, shows QPR have a decent squad.
They do, they really do, and some depth in that squad as well. You know, Albert's been around a long time, but I'm sure he's won 2 or 3 promotions, so it'd be brilliant for the squad. And yeah, they look a good team.
Patson Daka might come back to Dewsbury Hall. It does! Thumping finish. Leicester's first goal of this pre-season is scored by Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, and it's a bullet.
And that's what Kieran can do, you know, he gets forward, he's got a lovely left foot. He starts the move, you know, tries to slide Daka in. Daka does very well, uses his strength, and that ball just bounces nicely to Kieran there. You know, Dewsbury anticipates the ball, and a lovely finish, you know, side foot finish, but with power as well at that near post. Really, really good finish, and that'll do him in a world of good. You know, his first goal for Leicester City, I believe, brilliant goal. And I think 2 or 3, you know, Harvey Barnes worked him well, MK Dons to Barnsley to West Brom to the first team at Leicester, and it really, really benefits the players.
Well, Brighton, that's brilliant. Patson Daka scores his first Leicester City goal. There'll be plenty more, I'm sure. Celebrates with the fans, and from 2-0 down, Leicester have levelled this pre-season friendly.
Brilliant goal, you know, typical Leicester. Mark O'Brien, I mean, what a pass it is, and the movement from Daka, we mentioned him playing the furthest forward striker, you know, really composed. Look, left foot, near post, sees the gap, and you can see from that finish why he scored so many goals and why Leicester City have signed him. So, lovely finish, really is.
Although they are readying another change, Mark Warburton. Flung in, and that is just wide off the post, in fact, but drilled home by Rob Dickey. And QPR are back in front. Topsy-turvy old pre-season friendly this.
Well, you know, it's a second goal for QPR from a set piece, and Leicester haven't quite reacted well, whether that's the organisation with players coming onto the pitch. It's a delivery into the box, wins the first contact, and just reacts a little bit quicker than Kieran Dewsbury Hall. You know, he's got to do his defensive duties as well, but it's a good finish, it really is.
I thought I was going wide, we were right behind it, they just clipped the post.
And I think that's it, you think it's going wide.
Luke Thomas for Patson Daka, who will get there ahead of the goalkeeper, and that is a penalty. The searing pace of Patson Daka for all to see, and Leicester are going to have the chance to make it 3-3.
And that's brilliant to see, Chris, you know, the pace there, the real acceleration. Where you didn't think he was going to get there, but a real turn of pace, and, you know, just like Jamie Vardy does, gets to the ball first, gets a little nick, keeper commits himself, but a lovely pass by Luke Thomas as well, coming in on his right foot, but again, good movement, and that blistering pace, which is impressive.
Last season's top scorer is going to take the responsibility. 90 seconds of the 90 minutes to go. Kelechi Iheanacho is poised in front of the Leicester City supporters. And Iheanacho does not miss. His first goal of pre-season. What a game, it's 3-3.
Well, you're right, Chris, you said there'd be one more chance. As you said it, they won a penalty, but look, it's a lovely penalty, it really is. Down the middle, nice and crisp. a good height, very, very confident. Again, another striker getting on the score sheet is what you want in pre-season. Those strikers that are so important, building up their confidence.
Welcome back again to King Power Stadium this evening for the final pre-season game of the summer against Villarreal. We just saw obviously there the goals, Jerry, and the best bits from that game with QPR. There was a little bit of a worry, wasn't there, 70 minutes in at 2-0 down, that we wouldn't have any goals to talk about at all at any stage of pre-season, but then everything changed, didn't it? And Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, with that first one, was very much the driving force behind that comeback in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when you're picking out some of the younger players, first you've got to mention Harvey Barnes, who I thought first half, showed some real exciting play. So that was great to see that. Second half, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, I think, showed the quality that he's got, and he also, showed the manager and the rest of the coaching staff, but he is a player to watch this season. He's a player that, could potentially have a breakthrough season and have a consistent run in the team, with the quality that he's got. And then on top of that, heavily involved in every goal, as we've just seen, was Patson Daka, who I thought was an absolute bull when he came on, and deservedly got his goal and had a hand in the other two. But so, really good, positive things to be looking at for Leicester City after that game, apart from obviously the few negatives.
What can pre-season do to a player or to an individual? So look at the likes of Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. We don't know where he was in the plans of Brendan Rodgers. I know he said earlier in the summer he was in the plans, but to have a really good pre-season must really catapult you up in the estimations of the manager. Not again talking individually about Kieran, but about any of the players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And first of all, that starts in training. You've got to show that willingness, that desire to work hard. That's a prerequisite for Brendan Rodgers. We know that. And then when you get onto the pitch, you have to show that desire, that quality, like you take them from the training ground onto the pitch, and couple that with the quality that we all know that Kieran Dewsbury-Hall has. And the likes of Harvey Barnes, but Harvey has obviously already proved that since breaking through into the first team. So now it's down to Dewsbury-Hall that if he does get his chance, he has to take it with both hands, but he showed the quality, the undoubted quality that he has. And I firmly believe that he's one to watch this season. I firmly believe that if he doesn't go out on loan, which I don't think he will, then he'll get a run in the team at some stage.
You used two adjectives there, desire and quality, to talk about Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. Now, they're two words that you could definitely use for the second half performance of Patson Daka. The goal, obviously, he took it brilliantly, and then the desire to win the penalty. In commentary, it referenced it was like Jamie Vardy. It very much was. The pace was scarily quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know people have already tried, liking him to Jamie Vardy. And what he showed was, 1, the pace, 2, the desire, 3, his strength, and in 2 of those goals, 1, the first goal for Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, great strength, to hold the defender off and not let him get his clearance in. And then obviously the 4th and most important thing that every striker needs is that magic touch in front of goal. And he obviously showed that. That was a quality finish. That was a cool finish under pressure from a great ball from Mark Albright.
How excited should these Leicester fans behind us, we're hoping, as we said, around 17,000 of them this evening, how excited should they be from that second half performance from Patson Daka alone?
Obviously he comes here, he's showing potential, he's still a young man. So you have to afford him that settling in period. You just have to as a manager. You can't expect him to come here, hit the ground running and become an overnight sensation. But he obviously comes here with a really good goal scoring record. And as the weeks go on and the months go on, and hopefully you'll see him mature, get used to the way football is played, especially in the Premier League, and then really see him flourish with the help of the experience that Jamie Vardy brings and the rest of the players in the Leicester City squad. But potential-wise, there's no doubting that this guy has it in abundance.
Jerry referenced him a little bit earlier. Harvey Barnes played his first football since February after picking up that injury against Arsenal, and he played the first 45 minutes against QPR. Harvey, congratulations on your return. How did that feel?
Yeah, no, obviously enjoyed being back out there. I think today for me was just about, it was enjoying it. It was just getting the feel of being back in a game situation again. No matter how much training you do, nothing quite recreates a game. So getting that first one out of the way and getting a taste of it again, I'm really excited for the next few weeks now.
How did you feel you played? It almost looked like you'd never been away, some of the runs that you were doing.
Yeah, no, I had a few good little moments. Of course, there's going to be little bits that I still need to work on, and just going to come back in the next few games. So good and bad bits, but just the whole thing was just so enjoyable for me.
Are you feeling it now, or is that going to be tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow morning. Hopefully, because it was only 45, it won't be too bad. But no, definitely, first game, you're always going to feel it.
How different is it playing an actual game against opposition rather than just the games that you do in training?
Yeah, it is nothing. Like I said, nothing can recreate that. You do the training games and all that stuff, but being against an actual opposition, obviously the crowd's back in, match situation, there is nothing that can recreate it. So, these games for me are going to be important. Match fitness, sharpness. So I can just keep building on that now.
I know, obviously, the end of last season you had to watch everything. There were very good moments, there were some bad moments too.
Yeah.
It must have been a really long couple of months for you. So again, to just be back out there must feel really good.
Yeah, it was. Like you said, it's difficult watching sometimes. Even though we did have some great moments, got the FA Cup and everything. But yeah, feels like it's been so long over the off season, then pre-season now. You're itching to get back into the games. So. To finally get back out there, it was a great feeling.
I was going to say it was a decent game to be a part of. It was probably a better second half to be a part of just after you'd come off.
Yeah, it was. I think first half, it was a bit cagey. We weren't quite at our best, and then second half it just come alive, didn't it? So, in the end, it was a great game for everyone watching. Great game for the lads to be involved in. Good to get our first few goals as well. It's always important to get that confidence. So, we're looking to build on that on Wednesday.
That was Harvey Barnes there speaking after the game at QPR, of course, that 3-3 thrilling friendly game on Saturday. Fantastic, wasn't it, to see him back in action? You could just see the smile on his face in the interview, how much it meant to him to be out there, and he looked back to his best already. And yes, it was only 45 minutes, but he already looked very sharp.
Dan, I think if you ask the majority of people in the stand or in the Leicester City dressing room, the one player that I think they missed the most in the run into the back end of last season was Harvey Barnes with that injury. He's so exciting to watch, and he's maturing every time he takes to the football pitch. He's adding assists, goals, and without a shot of a doubt, Leicester missed that at the back end of last season. So for him to come back in a warm-up game, in a pre-season friendly, and even to show them glimpses of the class, the pace and the quality that he showed throughout the majority of last season when he started the game of football, it's just great to see. And it's great to see that he's recovered fully. Well, it seems seemingly so anyway. He's recovered fully from that injury.
You always worry, don't you, when a player's been out for so long, whether they'll come back as themselves, but we certainly saw it. Some of those runs, particularly the one on the left where he cut in past about 3 or 4 players, managed to get a shot away. That's the Harvey Barnes that we were seeing at the height of his powers, at the peak of his powers back in February.
No, absolutely, and that's exactly, he's an exciting player to watch because he's got one thing in his mind when he gets the ball to his feet, and that is to attack the opposition. And I say we've seen a couple of times on Saturday, but what he's added goals last season. He added goals to his game. Okay, we didn't see a goal, but he still has that confidence that when he gets in a position to take a touch and then have a little snapshot and not worry too much about where the ball's going to end up. Yes, the keeper saved it, but that doesn't matter. It's all about having the confidence to have that shot in the first place, and he showed that. Again, as the weeks go on and as he gets a little bit more game time and a little bit more match fitness, the confidence will grow and grow with him.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see him, do something tonight, whether it be a goal or an assist, just something that we were so used to before that injury this evening. It'd be nice to see a win. Obviously, we haven't seen one yet in pre-season. As we've talked about, it doesn't matter. It's about the fitness. But with that game on Saturday in the Community Shield coming up at Wembley, you've said you think tonight will be competitive. I guess out there the players won't care that it's a friendly. They'll want to win tonight.
I think you can't take away that competitive edge that professional footballers have, even in friendlies. Yes, the first couple of games, fair enough, but this is a top quality European side. So the guys in the dressing room won't want to come out onto the pitch tonight and just roll over and play dead for them. Maybe Villarreal have a totally different attitude. And maybe they're just coming out. I don't know how far they're into their pre-season, so they might just be out here tonight for a stroll around, which would be great for the guys in the dressing room. but you can't take that competitive edge away from footballers, and especially when you have a crowd and an atmosphere that we're expecting tonight.
Yeah, we know that obviously Villarreal have got that Super Cup game with Chelsea in a week's time. They play Leeds as well in the meantime, so they've obviously, you know, focusing on playing English opposition. But from a Leicester point of view, they're playing the Europa League winners, a competition Leicester are again in, and they'll want to go far. So this could almost be quite a good test to see just where Leicester could maybe be and where they could maybe go in the Europa League this season.
Yeah, and again, you know, you've got the Community Shield final coming up on Saturday. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword having a game on a friendly on a Wednesday night. And then, is it a competitive game or is it a friendly on Saturday? There's a trophy at stake, but what does it really mean? I'm not really sure anymore. I always used to say it as a competitive game. So you could say that Saturday is the first proper competitive game against Man City at Wembley. That's the way I would take it. So that's the way I would approach the game tonight, in that competitive fashion, in the build-up, in the lead-up to the Community Shield final on Saturday.
Just quickly before we go, Jerry, the atmosphere is racking up. We've got the montage going again at King Power Stadium. Still not sure if you're on it yet or not.
Still
but
not on it.
It's great to see, and it's great to be back again, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's the one thing, anybody who's been involved in, you know, football through COVID, through the lockdown, number one, they'll tell you that they're still the luckiest people in the world to still be involved with no fans. But it's the number one thing that they missed was fans in the stadium. And it sort of shows everybody how important that these fans are. And so hopefully we don't go backwards from here on in. We stay moving forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. That montage means one thing and one thing only. It means that kickoff is fast approaching. Stay with us for full first half and second half commentary of the game with our commentary team. So yeah, stay with us. Thank you.
Because memories never fade, no matter how long. We'll still remember the moments of excitement and the impressions of Thailand. Amazing Thailand, now even more amazing.
Saigon.
We are an instinct that ignites action. We are a journey, taking one step more. And we are the heart that beats as one. We are proud to be more. De Montfort University, Leicester.
Good evening, welcome to King Power Stadium. A King Power Stadium with fans in the stands. How good it feels to say that. It's been a long time coming. A healthy crowd expected here tonight as Villarreal are in town. The Europa League winners from last season form the Foxes' final pre-season test. Leicester have faced two League One sides and a Championship side before now. But despite the fact Villarreal are likely to be Leicester's toughest examination yet, the aim is the same for Brendan Rodgers. Minutes in the legs and match fitness for his players ahead of the new campaign. Welcome along to LCFC TV. Great to have you with us tonight, wherever you're watching from. Leicester City playing in front of home support. A chance to reconnect, says Brendan Rodgers, after a long time away. I'm Niall McCorn. Alongside me in the commentary box this evening, Leicester City legend Matt Elliott. And before we hear from Matt, I think it's just important to say how much the Foxes have missed this sort of crowd. A really exciting challenge for them this evening, coming up against the side who beat Manchester United in the Europa League final last season. A team who certainly are striving to be one of the strongest teams in La Liga. Leicester City arguably already are one of the strongest teams in the Premier League. And of course, Premier League action does kick off not too long from now. First though, Community Shield to worry about, and a date with Manchester City, but not before this pre-season affair with Villarreal. So many smiles on faces, so many blue shirts in the stands here on Filbert Way. Absolutely brilliant to see. A chance for some of these Foxes faithful to see their heroes in person, and some new faces as well. The likes of Bouba Soumaré and Patson Daka haven't yet experienced the King Power crowd, and they'll get an opportunity, you'd expect, tonight to do that. Can speak now to Matt Elliott, who's alongside me in the commentary box. Matt, how good is this to see fans back in the stands here at King Power Stadium?
Yeah, it's brilliant to see. I mean, you can obviously hear the rattle of the plastic clappers, the excitement of the crowd, there's chants going on. There's been a buzz around the whole area, in and around the stadium, for a good 2-3 hours prior to the kickoff actually coming round. And you know, all the sprinters are out there, and it feels like, you know, Jerry and Batesy were talking earlier, you know, about a lack of competitive edge possibly in this fixture, but the atmosphere coming from the supporters is one where it actually sort of means something. But maybe they're just ultra excited to get back here at the King Power Stadium. But yeah, it's got a lovely feel about it, good healthy atmosphere, and a very sizable crowd to match.
Obviously, stadiums have been empty for so long over the last 18 months. It's quite hard to get used to the noise again in here. Like you say, the fans with the clappers, and I'm sure that even though we're probably not quite going to get a full house here at the King Power, the atmosphere they'll generate, because they've been away from so long, will be memorable. Yeah, that's right, and you can feel the energy off them, can't you? And the excitement, sort of anticipation of the season that lies ahead, and the game that lies ahead here tonight. You know, it's an opportunity not just to see new additions to the squad, but you know, to see their heroes again from times gone by, and also have a little sneaky look at Villarreal as well, because they'll have some talent on show, that's for sure. But yeah, it's all hotting up, isn't it? You've got the prospects of the weekend in the Community Shield against the mighty Manchester City. Yet another trip to Wembley for Leicester City. The season is still, what, a week and a half away, and there's already things happening at this club, as there normally is. And but yeah, no, it's great to get that vibe off people. And like you say, it's not a full house. You wouldn't expect that in a midweek in a pre-season friendly, especially, you know, even after all the goings on of COVID, etc. But yeah, there's the real energy about the crowd, and they're just bursting for their heroes to walk out of that tunnel, aren't they? Absolutely. How tough a test do you think Villarreal will pose this evening? Obviously beating Manchester United last season on penalties, a dramatic shootout in the Europa League final. Quite easily on paper the toughest test that the Foxes have faced yet. Oh yeah, by some distance. And here come the players out of that aforementioned tunnel, and an appropriate noise greets them, and so does a standing ovation in a lot of areas and sections of the crowd. But yeah, listen, that statement you've just come out there,
with, you know, about beating Manchester United in the Europa League Cup final, says it all about the quality. Yes, they're missing a few key members tonight, which is a shame, Vicente Iborra in particular, but it's stiff opposition. Some people would say good practice for what lies ahead. Because obviously Leicester are featured in Europe this season, themselves. But yeah, players fired up and ready to go.
Well, let's take a look at the Leicester City team lineup. 2 changes from the last pre-season outing at Loftus Road. That game finishing 3-3 with Queen's Park Rangers. Dramatic Kelechi Iheanacho penalty to tie things up. The 2 changes, James Maddison comes in the number 10 position, and Kasper Schmeichel is back for Leicester City after an arduous Euro 2020 campaign. He returns in goal and replaces Jakupovic. The other change, Maddison comes in for Sumare, who drops to the bench. We saw also in the starting 11 Ryan Bertrand too on the left side of defence. A first showing for him in front of home support here at the King Power. As for Villarreal, their danger man is Gerard Moreno, wearing 7 this evening. 30 goals last season in all competitions. That is a remarkable record. The next top La Liga scorer for Villarreal was Paco Alcacer with just 6 strikes. You can see just how much quality he possesses up front as well. Well, there's Brendan Rodgers, who I'm sure will be looking forward to the start of the new campaign, but also with this being the final pre-season match, Matt, he'll be hoping that he has a clean bill of health come the end of this evening.
Yeah, of course, and you know, you want to come through pre-season as unscathed as possible. Having a look at the team list this evening, off the top of my head, it's only Johnny Evans, I think, who's omitted, you know, which is a good sign at this stage. Leicester have depth in the squad as well. You know, they've dealt with a severe injury list last campaign, and it hindered them slightly. I think ultimately they'll be hoping for more fortune on that front. But yeah, for the start of the season, you want everyone fit and raring to go. It goes without saying.
Well, we are underway here at the King Power Stadium. The final test of pre-season for Leicester City. A welcome return home. Plenty of excitement and plenty of atmosphere already being generated around the place. They always say results don't really matter in pre-season, but how nice it would be for the Foxes if they can get a victory here with so many in attendance for just a pre-season game.
Yeah, listen, any win builds confidence, doesn't it? It's still at that stage where fitness is the key element that you're looking for, and add to that a little bit of cohesion and rhythm about your play. You know, it's all just getting readjusted to each other. 1 or 2 new additions. There's one of them, Ryan Bertrand, playing long ball forward.
Well, Vardy's latched onto that, but he's been penalised by the referee, or at least the referee's now decided to let play continue. But we can already see the intent there from Bertrand, just trying to spring Vardy over the top, something he's so dangerous at doing.
Yeah, and it's good to see, to be honest, because yeah, Leicester can, at times, I think, you know, perhaps been a little bit too structured, maybe, in times gone by. And it's good to have that sort of versatility, and Bertrand has brought that, shown that already. You know, can go short, can go into midfield, he can go long as well, and you know, utilise as many attributes he's got as possible, and he nearly did so on that occasion.
Well, there's Unai Emery, the Villarreal manager. Of course, did manage Arsenal 21 months now since he got the sack from Arsenal after going 7 games without a win at the Emirates. That 7-game run was actually started by Leicester City back in November 2019. Jamie Vardy got the goal at the Emirates that day. Here's Alberto Moreno for Villarreal. Trigueros. And well dealt with in the midfield by Leicester City. Always difficult to try and get the rhythm going in pre-season, but when it does come, That's what you're looking for. You're looking for tempo, aren't you? I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be looking for that rhythm and tempo from his players.
Yeah, certainly in bursts, you know, if not continuous. Villarreal, we've spoken about the quality they've got, and they're demonstrating that already. You know, keeping the ball nice and comfortably, not being particularly proactive, but Leicester content to not force the press. You know, there's a time and a place for it. They're capable of, you know, high energy performances, but they're solid in their positions. Pinch the ball and play on the counter as they are now.
Here comes Jamie Vardy and does well, trying to dance away from a couple of yellow shirts, but the move just breaks down. On the right now with Mario Gaspar. And Gaspar continues his run. Good tracking back there from James Maddison. An important foot in.
Yeah, not something you necessarily associate with James Maddison. You know, he can play in different capacities, but interesting role actually that he's got. You look at it straight away, you think Leicester going to set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation, as they are at this moment in time. But for the opening 2.5 minutes or so, Maddison was right upside along Jamie Vardy. It was almost a 4-4-2. He's given a bit of a free rein, I think. You know, if he fancies dropping deep, helping out in midfield, as he did just then, he's got a licence to do so, or get on the ball and pop up in different areas, and I think that's a sensible ploy for someone of Maddison's quality.
Well, he wasn't involved against QPR, James Maddison, but he starts today. One of the 2 changes made by Brendan Rodgers from that game down in London at the weekend. The ball over the top for Jeremy Pino to chase. Alberto Moreno. And good tracking back this time from Jose Perez.
Yeah, good work again from midfielders there. Yuri Tillemans initially. James Maddison, as we mentioned, just a minute or so before. And then Jose Perez coming back and doing the donkey work, if you like. And it's good to see good effort there by players from different areas of the pitch.
Here's Raul Albiol. And now Gaspar. Gets the return from Jeremy. And Asenjo. That's easy pickings for Jose Perez. He tries to feed Maddison and very nearly squeezes his way through. Good intent so far from the Foxes in the opening 5.5 minutes. And certainly grown into the opening exchanges is Shagla Soyuncu.
In that instance,
and now Kasper Schmeichel making his first appearance of pre-season. Obviously reached the Euro 2020 semi-final. Came up against England. Soyuncu, who also featured in the Euros. Not quite as successful for his Turkey team, though, however.
It's fair to say it didn't quite work out as he would have expected, isn't it, Niall? But
well, if this game turns out half as entertaining as the last one against QPR, then we're in for a good evening. One of the more memorable pre-season friendlies as far as they go. 6 goals, a bit of late drama. Certainly a more enjoyable spectacle than the Wickham and Burton games, but it served the same purpose for Brendan Rodgers in terms of getting minutes in the legs. And of course, building up that match fitness ahead of next week. Morlanes. That's good skill when it comes to Morlanes again. It's whipped in towards the penalty spot and the header is wide. Manu Trigueros, the man who met it. Just squeezing between two defenders there. First time cross and the header off target. Maddison's brought down, free kick Leicester. Certainly quite keen, Matt, to drop deep into the Fox's own half and collect possession, James Maddison. He's not afraid to stray away from that 10 position to try and get on the ball and pull some strings.
No, that's right. We mentioned him a couple of minutes or so ago, didn't we? Talking about the defensive aspect of his game. A minute or so later, he pops up ahead of Jamie Vardy, tries to receive the ball and turns in Villarreal's penalty area. Just got snuffed out. Then he's back deep in the midfield position, trying to get on the ball. And nice little shimmy. And again, got fouled on that occasion. His play was halted. But yeah, I like that variety. And again, it makes sense. He's an intelligent player, understands the flow of the game, understands the positional side of the game as well.
Well, that poke pass forward just eludes Ayotse Perez. Leicester have looked bright. They've probed a couple of times. Villarreal with a new signing at centre-back, Aissa Mandi, the Algeria international, over 60 caps for his country. And he's still just trying to settle into life at Villarreal. The same could be argued for the likes of Ryan Bertrand, Patson Daka, Bouba Soumaré. All players who will need to adapt to life at a new club. But exciting to have them at the Foxes ahead of the new campaign. Brilliant switch from Soyuncu. Here's Ricardo. Decent intent from Ricardo, but we've seen that so often over the last few seasons, haven't we?
Yeah, he's intelligent play. Beautiful pass, as you mentioned there, by Soyuncu. He has that in his repertoire. Went for it, backed himself, got it spot on. Created the chance for Ricardo to put the cross in. There's Barnes cutting inside on his right, just snuffed out. But yeah, very clever cross. He hasn't just put it into an area, hoping that someone can get on the end of it. There's a time and place for that sort of delivery on occasion. Leicester not so good aerially with balls into the box in terms of climbing over 6'2" centre halves or even getting across the player. But Vardy, he tried to nip in behind. Ricardo had other thoughts and tried to sort of almost pull it back, even though he was from a very deep crossing position. But I like that. It keeps the defenders on their toes, keeps them guessing where the ball's going to go. They can't predict it's being put into one area on every occasion.
Such an asset to have a centre-half who can spray balls like that into dangerous areas over the top. Yep. We've already mentioned how much Jamie Vardy loves to run in behind, so if you've got a centre-half who can ping those balls over the top, it can only be a benefit.
Yeah, correct. It's something you probably see more and more of Soyuncu throughout the season, I would imagine. Johnny Evans more than capable of doing the same, and so is this man on the ball, Wesley Fofana, as he grows in stature and self-belief. Not that he's lacking in any at all, but becomes more part of the furniture. You'll see even more from him, and what we saw last season wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no Johnny Evans involved this evening against Villarreal. Obviously picked up a foot injury towards the end of last season. Had to come off in the FA Cup final.
Yeah, he's a big miss, and he's still the first pick, I would imagine, from Brendan Rodgers' point of view. Bertrand on the rampage. Here's
Bertrand bursting forward. And the slide challenge comes in from Raul Albiol, and it draws the free kick from the referee.
Yeah, that's what you almost come to expect of Ryan Bertrand, doesn't it? Obviously a new venture for him, making his debut here at the King Power. A very experienced individual, been around for a number of years, but that's typical play of him. Flying forward, on the run, stretching defences, and you can expect to see a lot more of that this season from a Leicester City fan point of view.
Signed a 2-year deal this summer at the Foxes, did Ryan Bertrand. And he stood over this free kick along with James Maddison. great to have options when it comes to set pieces. Maddison's no stranger to putting the ball into the box, and he has the ball in the box here. Back to Bertrand it goes. Dropped into the box, but headed away by Fernino, who's a forward player, but certainly very tall and rangy, and isn't shy to get back and do his defensive work. Here's Alberto Moreno into a dangerous area. And there was Fernino linking back up with the attack and very nearly getting on the end of it.
Well, good spot by yourself, Niall. Yeah, well worth a mention there. He went flying forward, didn't he, through the heart of Leicester's defence, and wasn't too far away from the connection there. The run was well spotted. Decent delivery, just a little bit heavy. Leicester looked a little bit stretched there, didn't they? And something for Brendan Rodgers to address as things move forward, because I always think Leicester are a little bit hesitant. So you talked about the options there with the set piece. There isn't that genuine belief, from my point of view, you know, they're going to get that first contact with any real effect. So they end up trying to be a little bit over-creative at times, and they were on that occasion. Rather than just putting the ball into it, they're Soyuncu with another ball that just about found its mark.
Another excellent switch from Shaglar Soyuncu. Pereira gets the return from Perez. And Raul Albiol had to come across and bail Villarreal out there for a second.
Yeah, it was a very effective pass. Not quite as authentic as the first one. He got it a little bit wonky, shall we say, but it made its way through. Again, it's a great outlet, and until Villarreal do something about it, Soyuncu, no reason why he can't persevere with that, because Ricardo on the ball, and again, little give and go, very dangerous situation.
Here's Fofana. And now Soyuncu. Tielemans. Fofana again. Just so elegant with the ball at his feet at times, Wesley Fofana.
Well, we've mentioned Fofana and Soyuncu quite regularly already. And they're a phenomenon, really, because certainly in my book, it's not too often that you come to a game looking forward to and excited by the prospect of watching two centre-halves play. You know, you can appreciate good defensive qualities, but on the ball, they bring something to the team, don't they? A bit of flair. They've got it all between them. And as Del Boy used to say, the world is their lobster.
Still only 20 years old as well. Wesley Fofana, remarkable, really. And because he is 20, there's no way he's getting your only fools and horses joke.
No, I don't think many people did, to be fair.
Here's Bertrand, who's looked lively in the opening quarter of an hour. Still goalless here at the King Power. And the fans have been up for this from the word go, and you can't blame them. Brilliant to see Fox's fans back at the King Power. There were 8,000 lucky supporters here on the final day of last season against Spurs. The last time you had a full house here at the King Power, though, was quite a while ago. As yet again, James Maddison goes tumbling. And he's drawn another foul.
Yeah, again, I mean, Leicester looking dangerous. Different areas, I mean, primarily on the right-hand side up to now, but Maddison as well, quite heavily involved. Barnes once or twice. Yeah, there's good variety to their play. Villarreal playing in little fits and starts, really. They're compact more than anything and trying to play on the counter. Leicester dictating play for the majority of time, in terms of possession, certainly.
Excellent enterprise there from Leicester City, and Pereira can burst forward down the right here. Now Jose Perez hoisted in towards Vardy. Didn't quite hang for him. Shouts for Tielemans to shoot, and why not after that FA Cup final goal. Perez does swing the ball in, but the flag is up on the near side.
Well, it looked tight, didn't it? And Perez arguing his case with the assistant referee. If it was offside, it was a little bit unnecessary, to be fair. He had hold of the line to look across. And again, Leicester working it well into good situations, good positions. Tielemans this time instrumental. And the crowd, as you say, urging him to repeat that strike. A magnificent strike, which will etch his name in Leicester City folklore at Wembley in the FA Cup final. And it wasn't so long ago, was it? And it's still fresh in a lot of people's memories, and it will remain so for some good time as well. But again, yeah, good play from Leicester. Shame with that, because it was a dangerous position. OK, Villarreal defender stopped, but that ball was put across viciously and accurately by Perez. Leicester had a couple of players advancing on it. Would have been dangerous.
Here's Sergio Asenjo between the sticks for Villarreal. Isn't the preferred Europa League goalkeeper, at least wasn't last season. That responsibility fell to Geronimo Rui, who was the hero in the penalty shootout win against Manchester United in that European final a couple of months ago. He scored his penalty, David De Gea missed, and the shootout finished 11-10. And remarkably, that was Villarreal's first ever trophy of any kind, and it happened to be a European one. Even when they were in the second tier of Spanish football, they never won the division to get promoted to La Liga. They only ever got promoted in second. So a magnificent achievement for them last campaign.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, good stat, no.
Here's Ndidi, and now Soyuncu. Tielemans. Barnes looking to turn and go, and very nearly does get beyond Mario Gaspar.
Yeah, he read it on that occasion. Barnes turned him the last time they were confronted each other, but tried almost a repeat of that move. Spanish defender just read it a little bit, but that shows to me that Barnes feels he's got the edge in terms of sort of a little bit of physicality and certainly pace against his opponent. If that is the case, keep feeding him the ball. And we'll see what develops, because Harvey Barnes is a fearsome proposition when he's in full flow.
That's good work from Ricardo. Very nearly got beyond Juan Foyth with a decent little bit of skill, but the former Spurs man recovers, and now the Yellow Submarine, as they're known, can try and move forward. It's well dealt with by the backtracking Ryan Bertrand. Now it's Wesley Fofana. Tielemans. Wilfred Ndidi. Now Maddison. Leicester switching the play well. Maddison. Fofana just surveying his options. This is good work from Leicester City. Harvey Barnes. Maddison. And again, another free kick on James Maddison.
Well, you've heard people say that for many times over recent seasons. You know, he's the type of player, Jack Grealish, draws attention, doesn't he? And so does Maddison as well. Similar in that aspect, but very impressive play from Leicester. They look crisp with their passing, they look organised, look well structured, there's a good rhythm about their play. Players moving in and out of areas, rotation is good, awareness, as you mentioned there with Fofana, surveying his options, and they were plenty, as they more often than not have been whenever a Leicester player has been in possession of the ball. Looking good, looking slick so far.
Fox's free kick, dropped in by Maddison, headed back across by Soyuncu. And Fofana and Jamie Vardy were approaching, but Sergio Asenjo manages to scoop that ball up.
Well, again, a little bit of an invention there, something different from a set-piece situation. Caught Villarreal off guard, that's for sure. Slack defending, and let Soyuncu creep up on the blind side, but yeah, excellent delivery from Maddison. Good contact from Turkish centre-half, just got a little bit too much flight on it, didn't it? Enabled the keeper to grab it. But yeah, that was about getting the balance right. And I'll talk about overcomplicating at times, which I think Leicester do on occasion. But you know, this time the percentages and the risk balanced up, didn't they? And they executed it pretty well.
Juan Foyth for Villarreal. Now Morlanes. Switched out to the right, dealt with easily by Suyuncu. Vardy. Nice ball into space from Tielemans, but always going to be a tough ask for James Maddison to latch onto that.
Yeah, that was a little bit over-ambitious, but what an effort it was, though. I mean, as it came at to Tielemans, at him from Vardy's layoff, he's hit across it and almost sort of angularly sliced it diagonally, and it needed Jamie Vardy chasing it, and even he would have struggled, but James Maddison was never going to get there. But high-quality effort from Tielemans.
Well, the Foxes don't have a sparkling record against Spanish sides in competitive games. 8 matches in total with just the single win. Older viewers might remember the first game Leicester had against Spanish opposition, 1961, 2 games against Atletico Madrid in the old Cup Winners' Cup. Of course, in more recent times, Champions League game against Sevilla.
Atletico Madrid 6 times out of those games. I played in 2 of them. We managed to. Did we nick a point? Well, not officially a point. No, we lost both of them. Should have kept quiet, shouldn't I?
I'm glad you brought that up, not me.
I got there before you did.
Villarreal on the attack. They have had to be patient. I certainly think that Leicester City have dominated the first half on the whole in terms of getting forward and possession in the final third, but they're not without their danger, the Spanish side. There is a reason they are Europa League champions.
Yeah, that's right. It depends how you look at it, isn't it? I mean, in terms of greater possession, more energy, all-round impressive performance, you look at Leicester City. If you're looking at it as if it was a 2-legged cup tie, Villarreal wouldn't be too unhappy. Leicester haven't threatened their goal too much, have they? Yeah, they've had the greater possession, looked the more threatening, but or the more likely to threaten. Sorry, but Villarreal are quite relatively comfortable without offering too much themselves. You know, neat and tidy-ish. Although they look a little bit hesitant on the ball, especially when the keeper has it at his feet. They look a touch susceptible. And it's a little bit more slow-paced when they're in possession, but playing on the... They've done that numerous times, giving it away needlessly, and then Leicester played on the break.
Great ball from Maddison. Just a little too close to Aissa Mandi. And Jamie Vardy doesn't quite get there. Certainly quite happy to slow the pace of the game down just there, Aissa Mandi.
Yeah.
In no rush whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's a little bit precarious back there for me. They don't look convincing when they're keeping the ball at the back. There's an element of risk about their play, and they look too confident in doing so. And they've given it away numerous times, as they did just then. You know, quite simple passes forward. Possession's been turned over, but at the same time, the goal hasn't been threatened too often, has it?
Maddison. Well, you don't have deja vu. You're not hearing the same thing over and over again. It is another Leicester City free kick for another foul on James Maddison in an almost identical position to the one a few minutes ago.
Yeah, well, as you said before, you know, he attracts attention, doesn't he? He's not scared to have a few touches on the ball, wriggle his way out of situations, and more often than not, his control is good enough. And the foul is drawn, isn't it? You know, rather than defenders that don't want him skipping by them and sliding someone in or taking a shot at goal. Probably 30 yards or so out. 10 yards left of centre. It's similar to the position where Suyuncu was found previously, but I don't think it'll happen again on this occasion.
Once again, Bertrand and Maddison stood over it. This time Bertrand delivers. Asenjo comes but doesn't claim. And it might squeeze its way in at the far post. In the end, it's scrambled behind for a corner. Jose Perez came the closest for the Foxes.
Yeah, again, Leicester mixing it up a little bit. Just a more traditional delivery there. Keeper doesn't look convincing. Hasn't been tested too much in terms of reactionary saves, but just in his general manner that doesn't convince, and on that occasion he didn't from the cross.
In comes the corner, dealt with at the near post by Manu Trigueros. Claimed by Maddison, but he can't keep that one in play. It must feel a little bit strange for the Foxes this pre-season with no Wes Morgan or Christian Fuchs around the place. This is the first time in 9 years where the preparations for the new season don't include Wes, who of course retired after winning the FA Cup with the Foxes last season. Fuchs has carried on his career in the United States. We wish him well. Here's Alberto Moreno. Gerard Moreno. Looking to get the return, but Soyuncu telegraphs that. And just glides beyond his man.
Well, he does that very well, the majority of the time. Douglas Soyuncu. Some managers will be having kittens watching him twisting and turning, and Cruyff turning there in and around his own box. But it's always that worry. You do get it wrong at a really important time, and it does happen occasionally. More often than not, he gets away with it. The crowd certainly enjoy watching it, and I have to say I'm with them. It's good to see a little bit of enterprise from the centre half. That refers to my point earlier. You know, I enjoy watching Fofana and Soyuncu as a sort of mini spectacle themselves as a partnership.
Here's Maddison. Gets beyond Foyt. Harvey Barnes can drive at the Villarreal defence. Maddison again, getting into dangerous areas. This time Foyt claims back for Villarreal. But they can only clear as far as Soyuncu. And Leicester really are putting the pressure on in that midfield area. Here's Ricardo. Ricardo's cross, but there was just no one there in the area that the delivery fell into. Jamie Vardy was an option in the box. So was Harvey Barnes. Maddison there as well, but the cross eluded all of them.
Yeah, that's another example there of maybe being a little bit harsh or a little bit over scrutinised in terms of if Leicester had that aerial threat, genuine aerial threat, Ricardo maybe just clips the ball into an area. And that was the time and a place to do that. I know I spoke about the opposite earlier, but he had to check and stop and try and create almost the perfect chance. And in the end, just had to put it in there, in and around the far stick, and Leicester players got underneath it.
Great work from Ndidi, and now it's Jamie Vardy. Just trying to find a blue shirt in the penalty area, and every time Yuri Tielemans gets the ball, shouts for shoots. That's a great little effort from Jamie Vardy, and he's not shy to do that. You've seen him do that so many times over the years in Fox's colours.
And England colours as well against Germany. Vaguely similar, that's for sure. But even then, listen, I'm not knocking it. It's not a negative aspect. It's just something that Leicester have to deal with a little bit there. Ricardo trying to put the ball in there, had to pick Vardy. Vardy, when he was trying to put the cross in, trying to produce a pinpoint cross, you know, pretty much inch perfect it needs to be to find its man, rather than having that sort of physical presence just to put balls into an area. So it's, you know, it can be frustrating sometimes because it's, you know, defenders and there's numerous opposition players there in the box trying to get on the end of it as well.
Jeremy. And swung into the penalty area, and Kasper Schmeichel quite comfortably watches that one behind for a goal kick. Well, he hasn't scored a goal yet in pre-season, Jamie Vardy, and this inventive effort from Ricardo's cross, probably the closest he's come in this game so far. Is that the sort of thing that would bother a man like Jamie Vardy, do you think, Matt, the fact he hasn't scored in pre-season?
No, he's gone a lot longer. Strange as it seems, you know, a lot longer runs without scoring. His all-round contribution to the team is evident, and his goal-scoring knack will be there sooner, probably rather than later. And he won't be fussed by that. But having said that, he's human after all. Like any other player, he'll be keen.
And here he is trying to latch on to another forward pass from Ricardo Pereira.
He'll be keen to.
The keeper came out and managed to get there first. And the look on Ricardo's face after the pass, he knew it was a good one, but he looked to the sky. Leicester getting ever closer.
Oh, he'd be keen to get off the mark, that's for sure, but it won't bother him too much. No, he's ultra experienced, isn't he? And he knows sooner or later he'll come to the fore.
Here's Perez, skips beyond his man, but that might have just rolled out of play. No, it will be a corner. The goalkeeper isn't happy about it.
Again, Leicester attacking in different areas of the pitch. In the early part of this half, or this half hour or so, it was Ricardo primarily who was on the ball, and Maddison was flitting in and out of the game. And Barnes took over a little bit. He had a spell, and now he's back on his right-hand side, and everyone's getting involved. Bertrand coming over here on his right-hand side to take the corner. Jose Perez featured numerous times, and everybody's getting involved in the mix.
Bertrand's delivery. It was Wilfred Ndidi who rose the highest. It just grazed his forehead and took a nick off a yellow shirt on the way through. So we will have another corner.
Yeah, speaking of Leicester's lack of effectiveness from direct set pieces, you do end up scratching your head a little bit, really, because Fofana attacks it very well. So Soyuncu does the majority of the time. And Ndidi also a little bit wayward with his direction of the contact sometimes, but between those three and others, they should get on the end of a few crosses.
Bertrand's delivery, Soyuncu underneath it. Collected by Yuri Tielemans. Now the Foxes can rebuild. Tielemans again. Ricardo Pereira. Back to the Belgian. And Fofana. Soyuncu. Here's Ndidi, who very nearly met that corner just now. It's another excellent pass from Shaglar Soyuncu, and great work from Ricardo. Tries to cut back onto his left and didn't quite get the ball rolling in his favour. But it matters not. Fofana mops up well. Leicester being patient. 10 minutes to go till half-time. Smart work that from Moreno, and it's a clever ball. But just like a brick wall, Wilfred Ndidi is there, and he's got things moving forward for Leicester City. Here's Jamie Vardy. Comes out now to Maddison. Here's Tielemans being urged to shoot. Does just that, but can only find the heels of a Villarreal defender. Who can blame him for taking that one on?
Again, forceful play. Leicester City individuals. Primarily Wilfred Ndidi on that occasion, as to say. You know, just crashed into a brick wall, didn't he? And he's only just showing signs of recovering, and he won't do fully for a little while yet, I don't think. But yeah, he got him well behind Soyuncu. Got a little bit caught out of position. Ndidi was there to do a job. He certainly did it.
Well, Wilfred Ndidi, who was injured early on last season, missed 13 games. You certainly feel that he would be a part of Leicester's strongest 11. And the Foxes looking to burst forward again. That's certainly been a bit of a highlight of this first half so far is those runners from midfield looking to get forward.
Yeah, I think there have been a few prominent features, really. I keep going on about the two centre-halves. Leicester have looked pretty impressive all over, but Soyuncu at times and Fofana, you know, so much, I say potential. You know, the levels they're playing at now, bordering on ridiculous, but they've obviously got more in them. Fofana particularly, you know, because of his age, but you know, he's just grabbing hold of the game. He's decided, he's felt his way in, and now he wants to start dictating play. He's got some work to do here, though, probably.
Gerard Moreno, and Tielemans does well to get back and recover. He was the one who was initially dispossessed by Gerard.
Well, I thought Fofana might have some work to do there, but it proved not to be the case. Because yet again, Leicester sharp into the tackle with Perez on the break.
Jose Perez. It's the return from Tielemans. Now Ricardo. Very nearly finds the stride of Jose Perez. That was a scything ball. Dangerous to deal with. Leicester aren't done yet. Here's Bertrand. Now Barnes. Blocked off. Fox's free kick.
Two fouls there in quick succession. Take your pick, ref. Actually thought initially he should have played the advantage there. The ball, clear foul on Barnes. Give and go. They can't handle him. The ball came through to Maddison on the edge of the box. With 10 yards left to centre. Dangerous position. I don't know exactly what the rulings are there. You know how long you can let that advantage go for. Leicester might be better served. We'll see. Time will tell after this free kick delivery.
Well, plenty of these in the first half for Leicester City. I'll be hoping they can make a little bit more of this one than the other ones that they've had, but it's the familiar figures of Bertrand and Maddison over it again. Bertrand's delivery. It's a good one, and there's Soyuncu! Shaglar Soyuncu met it with power, finished it with precision. And the King Power on their feet. Leicester take the lead here. 5 minutes, still half-time. And it was a thumping header from Soyuncu.
Oh, that's what you're looking for, isn't it? Different type of delivery. Bertrand took one earlier in the half, and it was a little bit more floated towards the far stick. Gives the defenders an opportunity to adjust themselves, and that was bang on the money. Bang in the middle of the goal. Soyuncu, purposeful run, strong, direct and aggressive. Got beautiful contact on it. Fast-paced delivery. Defenders couldn't get anywhere near it. The timing was spot on, and it was beyond doubt. Before he'd even headed it, he was going to score, and he didn't disappoint. That's what Leicester City are looking for, and that's what you think they're capable of. We spoke about the aggression that Fofana and Soyuncu got, and Didi to an extent. It's got to be utilised more. They can pinch themselves 10 goals extra a season from those set pieces if they're more effective, and think about the consequences that can have. It's self-explanatory, and the potential is there.
Well, Matt Elliott gets his wish. Leicester City scoring from a set piece.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often, Noel. That's for sure, and it's a little bit of a conundrum. Why not? I think there's a sort of a hesitancy now. He's almost developed into some sort of phobia, but players will disagree with that. But obviously they're trying to rid themselves of any issues they've got, because they're obviously working on set pieces. There's variety, and there's also a hell of a lot of quality.
Just the one goal for Shaglar Soyuncu last season, but he's got defending to do now. And that's exactly what he does. Wouldn't you just know it was the Turkey international who got his head on that clearance?
Yeah, good decision as well. Could have been forgiven for thinking Cassius Michael might be coming there, but he wasn't.
Here's a ball forward for Barnes, who's racing through. Harvey Barnes for Leicester City. You just knew, as soon as Harvey Barnes bore down on goal, there was only going to be one outcome. And that outcome is 2-0 Leicester City.
Wow.
In the blink of an eye, Leicester take a 2-goal lead. And the King Power is on his feet.
Yeah, how's that feel? It means more than just a pre-season friendly, doesn't it? You know, you can feel this energy, the delight on the supporters' faces, and the cheers that you're hearing, the celebratory noises coming because of this quick double fire goals that they've managed to produce. And Harvey Barnes in those positions, he's as good as anyone. I mean, if he gets clear of any defender around, they are not catching him. Again, we talk about being strong and direct and purposeful from Soyuncu. In another context, Harvey Barnes, similarly, it's mightily impressive there, the way he's been so confident. At this stage of the season, you're thinking the touch might be a little bit heavy, or, are you going to be a little bit sort of doubt-minded in where the ball's going to go? There was no element of doubt whatsoever. As soon as he turned, got himself facing Villarreal's goal, the outcome was inevitable. And what a cheer there was. I mean, that was sort of reminiscent of FA Cup final noises. I don't know, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but this is a pre-season friendly. But the excitement, the potential, and the anticipation is there for what lies ahead through the season.
Great to see Harvey Barnes getting minutes again. Great to see Harvey Barnes scoring goals again. I think you could argue a case for him knocking on the door of the England squad before his unfortunate injury in February.
He's got something different. Yeah, not many players are capable of what he is. If he can just bring that sort of regularity, that consistency to his game, which inevitably will come. He applies himself superbly. Massive future ahead for him.
Given away by Gerard Moreno. And Jose Perez gets in a bit of a wrestle with Manu Molanes and gives away the free kick. Well, just on Harvey Barnes last week against QPR. He played the first 45 minutes, his first minutes since February. He had 13 goals and 4 assists before his injury. And you'd like to think he would have definitely added to that tally had he stayed fully fit, but it is good to have him back.
100%.
Supreme confidence in that one-on-one as well to finish it off in the way he did.
It gives the team something extra now. He's a prodigious talent.
Well, it's Leicester City's final pre-season friendly before the new campaign begins. And it took 40 minutes for the first goal to arrive. Came from the head of Shaglo Soyuncu, a bullet header, before Harvey Barnes, in the blink of an eye, made it 2-0. Brilliant to see Barnes back amongst the goals. And it's the first half in which Leicester take a thoroughly deserved 2-0 lead into the break. Half-time here at King Power Stadium. It's Leicester City 2, Villarreal 0.
Because memories never fade, no matter how long. We'll still remember the moments of excitement and the impressions of Thailand. Amazing Thailand, now even more amazing.
Saigon.
instinct that ignites action. We are a journey, taking one step more. And we are the heart that beats as one. We are proud to be more. De Montfort University, Leicester.
Welcome back to King Power Stadium, Leicester City's final pre-season game before the new campaign begins. Villarreal, the opponents, the Europa League winners from last season. They, of course, beat Manchester United in that dramatic final that went to a long penalty shootout. And Leicester City taking a 2-goal lead into half-time. Niall McCorn here in the commentary box alongside Leicester legend Matt Elliott. Great first half for Leicester City. I think they probably looked the more likely out of the two sides anyway. And the 2 goals they scored were excellent goals on the whole.
Yeah, it was excellent from start to finish pretty much by Leicester, wasn't it? But here is the opener. Wicked delivery there from Bertrand. Soyuncu forced his way right through the centre of Villarreal's defence. Poor marking, you could say, you know, sort of semi-zonal there, just trying to pick up areas. Soyuncu found the gap. It was good variety, I thought, about Leicester City's set-piece play. You know, sometimes they went short, sometimes floated it. He's caught them by surprise, whipped it in there, beautifully connected by Soyuncu.
And here's the second goal. Harvey Barnes, great to see him back in a Foxes shirt after his long injury layoff. And how good was this from him, just to stay onside there. So easy to drift offside, but he stays onside, gets in front of his man to make it difficult for the defender, and then a really accomplished finish.
Yeah, exactly. Very composed, wasn't it? At the depth there, you know, didn't rush it, just waited, bided his time till he was ready to finish. Another little touch there and just lofts it over the keeper, middle of the goal. Never really in doubt, and Leicester have a double spearheaded threat there in those sort of positions. Jamie Vardy-esque, wasn't it, the way he tucked that away. Harvey Barnes can do it equally as well, and once he gets a head of steam up and gets clear of any defender, they are not catching him.
Brendan Rodgers would have been pleased as well that the goals came in such quick succession too, within the blink of an eye, and Leicester take a comfortable lead into the half-time break here at King Power Stadium. But it wasn't the only chances they had in that first half, a couple of other opportunities. And like we say, Leicester did probe and they had their opportunities. Jamie Vardy with a flick, but a lot of the action came from Ricardo down this right-hand side.
Yeah, looked very dangerous. Nice to see him back in full flow at the early stage of the season. Nothing came of that eventually, but it originated from a switch from Soyuncu, which has happened on 2 or 3 occasions. Slightly fortunate in that instance. And Ricardo, as good as any player in the league, really, in those situations. And Perez as well. He deserves some credit. He's linked up well. Leicester looked dangerous all over the pitch, despite not bothering Villarreal's goalkeeper too often, but they've found themselves in good areas of the pitch. Here we talk about that flexibility of the set piece. Soyuncu again heavily involved, and impressive all round from Leicester City.
Yeah, certainly Brendan Rodgers, you'd think, will be pleased with what he's seen so far in this first half. Soyuncu with the header across, and then it was after this chance Soyuncu who managed to steer the header on target. And again, set pieces seem to have been a theme, really. Here was Jose Perez's header, which very nearly crept in at the far post. That's what you wanted to see, Matt, was more aggressive set piece play from Leicester, and they did score a goal from one.
Yeah, I think sometimes they sort of overcomplicate it to a degree, because I don't think they've got enough genuine faith in themselves to not necessarily produce the delivery, but get on the end of them often enough. But there seems to be sort of a renewed vigour about their aggressive side of the play in those instances, and you know, they've got the physicality there. It needs to be utilised more, and I think we've seen that.
Well, Jamie Vardy hasn't scored a goal in this pre-season just yet, but he came pretty close here, and we've seen him do this on a number of occasions, and it just goes to show the confidence that Jamie has in front of goal. And we mentioned it in commentary, the fact he hasn't scored in this pre-season heading into the new campaign, that won't bother him one bit.
Yeah, he's always willing to try something a little bit unorthodox, and again Ricardo, clever delivery, picking someone out rather than just hoping someone will get on the end of it. Vardy's done similar before, to greater effect, but the angle of delivery and the pace of the delivery, it was never really going to genuinely threaten, but a decent attempt nonetheless.
Well, Villarreal, as we say, the current Europa League champions and a decent La Liga side, and quite easily the toughest test that the Foxes have faced in this pre-season so far. Faced a couple of League One sides and a Championship side in QPR last time out. But you can see here, Matt, the difference in quality from a side that are going to be trying to compete for trophies again next season.
Yeah, I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with their all-round performance, but without doubt, we know from their recent records, that they have that class, they have that quality, and they have that ability to threaten Leicester, and Leicester have been very aware of that. I think they've got back very sharply, the midfielders in particular, to help out defenders when Villarreal have been on the break. This was probably the most dangerous. Great ball in from Moreno. The run forward there, just fails to get contact, but generally Leicester have looked quite comfortable, although they know they can't afford to relax too much because the class is there from the Spaniards.
Well, a lot of action has come from Alberto Moreno down this left-hand side. He's probably looked the most likely in terms of creating opportunities for Villarreal. A bit of a disappointment for Leicester City fans is that Vicente Iborra isn't here tonight, the former Leicester City man who said he was so sad on social media that he couldn't make it. It's a shame that he isn't here. He was absolutely buzzing to try and come back here to Leicester. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but we have been catching up with him. We spoke to him earlier on this week.
Vicente, how are you? It's great to speak to you again. How's life in Spain?
Hi, I'm well. I hope you too. I'm so happy to speak with you and of course to be here.
How much are you enjoying your time in Spain with Villarreal at the moment?
Well, I'm enjoying a lot because I'm very happy. Close to my family. I'm happy playing for Villarreal with the club, with the supporters, and my time here is very well. Enjoying every day, playing football, enjoying family, enjoying friends. It's everything good.
I know you had a tough time with injuries last season and for the second half of last season, but it still must have been brilliant being part of the squad that won the Europa League.
Yes, the last months were very difficult for me because I was injured, but I think the last season was great for the club, for the team, and we can won the Europa League, and that was brilliant, I think, for the club, for the city, and of course for the team and for me as well.
When you saw that Villarreal were due to play Leicester in a friendly, what did you first think?
That was a great news for me because I like to follow Leicester City. I like to follow the games. I like to speak with some friends there, and when I left from Leicester City, I cannot to be there to say goodbye, and I think it's a good news for me to be there now to see some friends, to see the employers, and I think it's a good moment for me.
I think, as you say, it will be a great chance for the fans to show their appreciation to you as well. I think they're very excited to see you again, Vicente.
Yes, me too. I'm very grateful with the club, very grateful with the fans as well. I felt always a lot of love from them, and I'm very grateful, and I'm looking forward to watch them, to be there, to be in the King Power Stadium, to enjoy from the supporters, and of course to see some ex-teammates, to see some employers, because for me they were a very important in my past there.
How do you think that the game will go? I know it's a friendly, but they're two very good teams. Do you think it will be quite competitive, the game?
I think it will be a good game between two big teams. Of course, it's a friendly game, but we are close to compete. Leicester City in Premier League, we are close to compete in La Liga, in the Super Cup final, and I think for them and for us, it will be a good opportunity to keep growing like a team.
Are there any messages that you would like to say to the fans at all?
Yeah. I received a lot of messages from the fans, from Twitter, from Instagram, and that's why I keep following the team, the club, and I think I'm one of them. I think I'm one of Fox, one Fox member, and I'm very happy because I think the club is keep growing like a team, like a club, and I'm so happy because I think that they are growing. They are playing a good level in Premier League. Next season they will play Europe, and I'm very happy about them.
Finally, it'll be nice for you to come back to King Power Stadium. Will you also visit Saffron Lane again?
Yes, it's a good thing for me to hear that song. I'm very happy to travel to Leicester, to be there with the fans, like I told you before. And for me, Leicester City is very important in my career, like a club, like a team. For me, the most important thing is the club, is the people there, and my ex-teammates.
Great to hear from Vicente Iborra there. Such a shame that he couldn't make it to the King Power Stadium. I know he was so disappointed that he wasn't able to travel. Villarreal only flew in yesterday, but he wasn't part of the travelling group. So we have got some changes at half-time for Leicester City. Kasper Schmeichel only playing the opening 45 minutes. He'll be replaced by Danny Ward. We'll also see Buba Soumare, one of the new signings, introduced, as well as Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who scored the first Leicester goal of pre-season, and another new face, the prolific Patson Daka, who did score his first Leicester City goal last week. Tielemans, Ndidi, Vardy and Schmeichel make way. So the players just emerging from the tunnel for the second half. Alongside me in the commentary box for this evening's action, Leicester legend Matt Elliott. And I think Brendan Rodgers will be saying, even to the new players who have just been introduced at half-time, more of the same, please.
Yeah, pretty much. They were pretty impressive, weren't they? Consider the state of play, the time of the season. The first time, I know Leicester have put a couple of strong-ish lineups out there, but that was what some people might consider certainly very close to the team that might well start the first game of the Premier League. Won't get a million miles off, that's for sure. And it's certainly a team that was capable of playing in the Premier League, and to a very high standard, as we've just seen. Still a week and a half away from the big KO, and you think they could be forgiven for sort of going through the motions for a little bit, even though a lot of those players, as we've seen, would have known they were only playing 45 minutes. But I thought Leicester were a level above their opponents, and they're high-quality opponents at that. We know that. They didn't look at full throttle, the visitors, but Brendan Rodgers can't ask for much more than that at this stage of the proceedings.
No changes for Unai Emery in his Villarreal side. But a warm round of applause from those inside King Power Stadium for Patson Daka and Bouba Soumaré. Two new faces as the second half gets underway here in Leicester's final pre-season affair before 21-22 kicks off in earnest. It's always difficult to judge a pre-season. When results are going well, everyone says results are great, can't wait for the new season. And when they aren't going so well, everyone says, oh, it's only pre-season, it doesn't really matter. So it does go both ways, but certainly you can't deny Leicester did look very impressive in that first half.
Yeah, whichever way the results go, it's not the be-all and end-all. Loose pass there from Soyuncu. Just something that is in his game occasionally, but you can't have it always. You know, I mentioned it first half. He tries something out of the ordinary quite regularly. Not always going to get 100% right, so take the rough with the smooth, as long as it doesn't happen too regularly. But yeah, I mean, pre-season, in my time at the club, more often than not, we were very poor pre-season, and more often than not, we started off the actual season itself very well. So I don't think there's any golden rule. It's just nice to get a bit of rhythm and a bit of flow about your play as much as anything. If you win them, even better. It's not absolutely crucial that that cutting edge comes once the real game starts.
Well, this is Leicester's final pre-season game, but Villarreal do have another one here in England. They'll take on Leeds United next up. Their La Liga season starts on the same day that the Premier League campaign begins, the 13th of August, but their first fixture in the Spanish top flight isn't until the following Monday, so they've got a bit of extra time to prepare.
Yeah, you wonder that, don't you, about their appetite. A loose pass there from Soumaré. So cutting out the counter, but yeah, you worry about their appetite to come abroad pre-season. You know, how much does it mean to them? On tonight's evidence, I think they've got a lot more in
It's
them.
Patson Daka in behind and pulls the trigger, but straight down the throat of Asenjo.
Yeah, well time run there from Daka. He's already got a reputation, you know, for playing on the shoulder of defenders there, and that was very much evident.
He is such an accomplished finisher, Patson Daka. 27 goals in 28 Austrian Bundesliga games for Red Bull Salzburg last season. He is a sharp shooter.
It's not bad going in any league. But if he can replicate that in the Premier League, then we really have got a star on our hands, haven't we? But Villarreal defence, they're trying to hold the line. Good awareness, good intelligence by Daka. He didn't just blindly run offside and say, well, I've started my run, I'm going to finish it. Held it, timed it well enough to get on the end of the delivery. Got the shot off. OK, wasn't a lot of power, but he's shown already he's going to be a threat.
Won a league and cup double with Salzburg last season, Patson Daka. Scored in his final appearance for the club. Here's Harvey Barnes, and there is Daka, and forces a brilliant save out of Sergio Asenjo. Well, it didn't take him long to get into the action.
A little wry smile there from Daka. He knows what an introduction that would have been. OK, just featured a few seconds previously there, but Soyuncu sharp into the challenge, as he has been all night. Barnes threatening, and the Villarreal defenders were backing off this time. Sensible little layoff, nicely weighted. Another attribute from Daka. Their left or right foot finish is equally adept.
In comes the corner in it. He's fired through a host of bodies, comes back to Soyuncu, who wins another corner after a couple of fancy step overs. And he's bound to be brimming with confidence after that goal in the first half.
Yeah, it's amazing how much it does help you. You know, at the end of the day, he's made the run umpteen times and hasn't got a connection. Tonight he has. Just gives you that extra boost, and I mean, he's a confident player anyway, but he's been exceptional tonight.
Whipped in by Dewsbury Hall, headed back across the face of goal, and stretching was Harvey Barnes. But he couldn't quite hook his boot around it.
Again, more invention, different method, different route into the danger zone. Bertrand proving himself to be very useful in that department. Has put in 3 deliveries himself, been involved in a couple of other little alternative routines. And he's slotted in exceptionally well, isn't he, on his, what's it, officially his home debut, I suppose.
Well played by Dewsbury Hall, and he gets the return from Daka and goes around the goalkeeper, and it is tucked home for number 3. Jose Perez isn't going to miss from there. And Leicester are running away with this pre-season friendly, and it's no less than they deserve. Jose Perez adds a third, and the Foxes firmly on top.
Well, that's the term. No, you said it. They are running away with it. On the verge of running riot, if they so desire. I mean, Villarreal look shot to pieces already. We're talking about questioning their appetite to come on a 2-game tour of England. You know, you can go under the radar a little bit. You can take the soft option if you want. They don't look up for it. Leicester certainly are. Keenan Dewsbury Hall there, the player that Brendan Rodgers is keeping a very close eye on, has mentioned him numerous times already in pre-season. Did beautifully well there, didn't panic, set up Perez, and Perez slotted it away. It was inevitable, wasn't it? And rightly so. Leicester 3 goals to the good.
Well, with the season so close, you want that competition for places. You want players to be chomping at the bit to be handed that first start when the first game does come around. And we've only played 6 minutes of this second half, and you have to say Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and Patson Daka have looked sharp.
Yeah.
Both of them involved in that third goal.
Yeah, it's very encouraging, isn't it, from Leicester City point of view in general, but I'm just thinking from the fans' angle, they'll be delighted what they've seen so far.
Here's Barnes making a run through the centre. And chasing it down was a hungry Patson Daka. And the goalkeeper eventually cleared his lines.
Yeah, even little instances like that, he was never going to get there. He made it closer than it should have been, though. You know, he didn't give up the ghost lightly, and it showed, you know, endeavour and purpose there, you know, to try and force something out of nothing. And he wasn't a million miles away.
Sumare, who finds Danny Ward. Much like Kasper Schmeichel, who he replaced at half-time, Danny Ward, one of the last to return to pre-season training for Leicester City after his involvement in Euro 2020. Here's Fofana. And now Sumare. Perez. Daka looks for the first-time ball towards Maddison. And Villarreal just tried to catch Leicester on the back foot. Pass was overhit, no trouble for Ward to collect.
Yeah, it was clever play though on turn to realised I think Moreno had gone offside. Moreno himself recognised that and made no attempt to control the ball really, whether he could have or not. I'm not sure, but it's pretty comprehensive from the Foxes thus far.
Well, Ricardo surging in field there, eventually dispossessed, but he's shown plenty of promise. And Soyuncu does well to get across Gerard Moreno, but the danger isn't clear for Leicester City. That was until Wesley Fofana stepped in.
It was a little bit risque, shall we say, but initially the defensive play by Soyuncu, you know, Moreno maybe not lightning quick, but he fancied his chances up against a centre-half. Now, you've got to know your players a little bit. Trying to touch it and outrun the Turkish man, and that doesn't happen too often. It's as quick as they come.
Yeah, well, Gerard Moreno is no mug, let's just say. Here comes Harvey Barnes on the hunt for a second. Blocked by Raul Albiol.
Just going back to the Soyuncu very quickly. A year ago, he might have dived in there. He stood up, held his ground, showed some patience, and he cruised the situation.
Here's Ryan Bertrand. Daka looking to find Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Here's Gerard Moreno. Can only find Fofana. And here's Bertrand, still in an advanced position. Maddison. looking to squeeze it back through to Bertrand, who had continued his run. Well, writhing around on the ground there is Fernino, the 20-year-old Villarreal forward, who's 6'3". He is mobile, he is tall, and he's still mobile even though he's on the ground there, but he looks in some pain.
Well, it's a difficult one for the referee. He decided no foul, and I can see it looks like he has hurt himself there, to be fair. The ankle's been tweaked a little bit, so...
Yeah, just a rake down the Achilles. No intent there from Wesley Fofana, of course.
It can look innocuous, but you never quite know. The only thing I would say, you're in that much pain, the last thing you want to do is jump around and wriggle around. It's going to increase what you're feeling, but it's not as bad as it certainly he was making out. He's up on his feet, but it didn't look ideal, to be honest. I've got a touch of sympathy with him, just a little smidgen.
Yeah, never nice to get one on the Achilles. Those injuries can be nasty. They take a while to heal up. It's never nice to see anyone injured in pre-season, no matter who they play for.
Yeah, I don't think he was too slow to get himself off the pitch, though. I think he wasn't. He won't be sulking that he's come off, put it that way. If he is going to stay off. Sorry, I thought the substitution was coming on immediately.
Well, there is a substitution being made. It's Gerard Moreno who makes way. Only Messi scored more La Liga goals than him last season, so Leicester will be thankful he's off the pitch.
Yeah, he's a quality performer, but again, you know, with him, a fair play, he's coming back on the pitch. Yeah, Moreno similarly doesn't look too unhappy going off.
Well, Fernino staying on. It's Alfonso Pedraza who has been introduced as a replacement for Gerard Moreno. Fernino can play through the middle, which is where Gerard prefers to play. So we might see just a slight shift in personnel from Villarreal. They are likely to keep the same formation. Fernino just limping slightly, but seems to be getting back into his stride ever so slowly.
That smidgen of sympathy's disappeared, though, because I thought it might have been an innocuous bad injury, but if he's back trotting around already, well, there's no need for all that twisting and turning, is there?
It isn't quite like the good old days, as you call them, Matt.
Well, I don't want to sound like a dinosaur, but you know, there's levels, aren't there? There's levels.
Here comes Villarreal.
That doesn't look good, though.
It's Alberto Moreno, and in some serious pain on the halfway line, just out of your picture, is Wesley Fofana.
When you're not moving, it doesn't look good.
And there was no contact there or anything. That just seemed to be an innocuous one. So, as you say, certainly concern here. The physio, Simon Murphy, Gary Silk, the two medical staff members for Leicester City.
It's not good. No, the ambulance
have rushed on, yeah, and as you say, there is a stretcher coming on. We don't quite know what's happened here to Wesley Fofana. Oh, yeah, maybe there is contact there. And it's not a nice one.
Oh, shit.
Oh, dear.
No.
We don't need to see that again, I don't think.
No.
Well, there's...
It's reckless, it's unnecessary. I don't think it's intentional.
Well, this is a pre-season friendly.
Exactly, you don't need to be loading in with challenges like that.
Well, my apologies, because I thought that was quite an innocuous one. It didn't look like there was too much involved, but as I'm sure you can see from the replay, some serious issues there for Wesley Fofana.
It's not good.
And we wish him a speedy recovery, because that is not what you want to see just around the corner from a new campaign.
He's been, I mean, it's not relevant how well or not you're playing, but he's been imperious tonight. You know, it's been exciting to watch, and devastation.
Well, it was Fernino with the tackle, who himself was on the ground in some pain.
Yeah, a little bit of repercussions, maybe.
Well, Unai Emery, the Villarreal manager, was absolutely incensed at the weekend in Villarreal's friendly against Marseille. They lost 2-1, and early in the second half, Juan Foyth was sent off by the referee for what Emery called an unnecessary challenge in terms of the referee as well, giving the yellow card. He didn't think that was the right decision. The game should be played in a certain spirit because it's pre-season. Well, he doesn't look too animated there, the Villarreal boss.
Nonsense challenge there. Like, people can read into it what they want. You know, the little sequence of incidents there. It doesn't reflect particularly well on Villarreal player.
Well, Shaglar Soyuncu is on his haunches in the middle of the pitch here at the King Power Stadium. And these sorts of injuries are never nice, especially when you're as close to your teammate as Soyuncu is to Fofana. They've built such a partnership together at the heart of defence over the last couple of seasons.
Well, it's put
a dampener on it.
Oh, to say the very least. To say the very least. I mean, that sounds almost trivial, really, because, you know, for Wesley Fofana himself, as an individual, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse in football. But
well, I'm sorry that you had to witness that at home or wherever you're watching here on LCFC TV. Thanks for being with us for this final pre-season game ahead of the new season. But concerned looks everywhere, all around the King Power. This is not the welcome back that anyone really wanted. And when something like this happens, the scoreline becomes irrelevant. And we are going to have a significant delay here so that Wesley Fofana gets the treatment that he needs.
such a shame for him. You know, such a shame for anyone who goes through such an experience. But he's we're talking about hopefully Leicester City having an easier route on the injury front. Something like this happens, unbelievable.
Well, how strong has Kasper Schmeichel been this summer? In so many ways. Such a leader, not just in this Leicester City dressing room, but also with his national side as well. And this is tough, emotionally, for these players to deal with. Well, the King Power Stadium rises to its feet to applaud Wesley Fofana off the field. Still only 20 years of age, so talented, so promising. He will bounce back, there is no doubt about that. But such a heartbreaking way for his evening to end, so close to the start of the new campaign. Wesley Fofana's name rings around the King Power Stadium. And fingers crossed, before too long we'll see him back here, gracing the turf once again. Really has pierced the atmosphere.
It's a huge blow, isn't it? It's just taking the stuffing out of everything.
Well, we will see some substitutions amongst all of that. these substitutions were certainly something Brendan Rodgers had in his mind around the 65-minute mark before this game. And we're led to believe Fofana may well have been one of those players who's withdrawn anyway. So to get injured so close to that moment is really devastating for him and for the Foxes.
It's crazy how it can work, isn't it? You know, he's not relevant, but he's been imperious tonight. Probably on a little bit of a high with himself, pleased how well he's playing. Something like that comes out of the blue.
Well, here is Ben Nelson, just 17 years old, one of the substitutes. Finds another in Luke Thomas, who's only 20 himself. And here's Amate. And Pratt. Iheanacho finds Daka. He very nearly poked it under the goalkeeper.
He's certainly lively, isn't he? Patson Daka. Haven't seen too much of him, and don't expect to by all accounts in general play. He's there where it matters, in the danger zone. 3, possibly 4 occasions, been a genuine threat.
Gaspar. Now Raul Albiol, once of Real Madrid, of course. 35 years of age now, Raul Albiol.
He was at Madrid, wasn't he? I was toying with it in my mind. Was it Valencia as well?
Well, he's formerly of Napoli, yeah. I think he did play at Valencia too.
Valencia.
He was at Real Madrid, though, 2009 to 2013, won La Liga there.
To be fair, on tonight's performances with Real Madrid, days look a little way back, but...
Good pressure there from Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Turns 23 in a month. He's enjoyed a lively pre-season.
23 on the I mean, you just think of him as a youngster who's only just breaking through into genuine position within the squad. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, I had the pleasure of being involved to a degree with him in his time at the academy when I was there coaching part-time. Lovely lad, delighted to see him progressing as he is and just maturing physically as well as an all-round player. It could be a huge season for him.
Here's Bouba Soumaré. Gets the return from Amate. Dewsbury Hall. Now here's Luke Thomas, who is dangerous in those advanced positions from left-back. Scored a great goal at Old Trafford last season. A moment he'll never forget. Benkovic. Amate squeezes it forward to an offside Kelechi Iheanacho.
It's just the combination really. Initially the situation with Fofana has inevitably taken its toll on the players out there, and in turn the tempo of the game, and then there's been a multitude of substitutions which also has a detrimental effect on the flow.
Well, the experienced Mario Gaspar makes way for Villarreal. Made his 400th appearance for the club last season, second on the all-time appearance makers list for the Spanish side, and he's replaced by Ruben Peña, who is a versatile defender. Another change made there. You can see in your picture Nikita Iosifov, a young 20-year-old Russian who signed a 5-year deal from Lokomotiv Kazanka. Also played for Lokomotiv Moscow, has played in the Champions League for Lokomotiv. Excellent defending from Ben Nelson. Jeremy wanted a foul, but the referee wasn't interested.
Well, it looked like he had the march on Nelson initially, but Nelson was strong enough and kept in close enough contact without a clear and obvious foul, that's for sure.
Well, we talk about young players, and pre-season is often a chance for young players to show the manager exactly what they're capable of, and maybe just plant a seed in the brain of the gaffer for years to come. Ben Nelson, he's only 17 years of age. He's not 18 until March next year, and already just looks so accomplished. But that's testament to the academy here at Leicester City. As Kelechi Iheanacho bursts forward and somehow still keeps hold of it. He looked off balance for a good few seconds there. Now it's Luke Thomas. Leicester on the hunt for a fourth, and they've got a corner.
That extra touch there. Thomas, the diversion run from Dewsbury Hall on the outside, the overlap, created half a yard. He had an extra touch, otherwise he could have whipped it in. When he did so, he got blocked for a corner. Leicester will settle for that. But you're right about Ben Nelson. He's obviously very, very highly thought of at that young tender age to be even involved in the mix. Brendan Rodgers is casting his expert eye on him, no doubt.
Corner is swung in. It's a free header. And it's wide from Kelechi Iheanacho. And I think the whole of the King Power Stadium was expecting the scoreboard to tick over from 3 to 4 and the net to ripple.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be. I mean,
not quite sure how he's missed that.
Headers don't come much clearer than that today. Another excellent delivery in the feature of tonight. Set pieces, they've had their opportunities, good to see. I think they might expect sterner defending from Premier League teams in those situations, but they make hay while the sun shines, and they should have increased their lead there. Iheanacho, a little bit sort of intermittent with his finishing, isn't he? Goes on streaks, but should have tucked that one away.
Well, he was unmarked there at the back post. Signed for Leicester City 4 years ago yesterday, as a matter of fact. Here he is again. Well dealt with by Buba Sumare, who does get his toe to the loose ball. And now it's Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Sumare has looked accomplished in pre-season, looked really bright against QPR. What an impressive range of passing, as well as having that steal, which is what you want from those central midfield players.
Leicester continuing with their superiority, though, in general, aren't they? Even with all the changes, even with the horrific injury to Fofana, it's obviously affected them. It hasn't determined the fact that they're still dominating this game.
Yeah, that was a difficult watch with Wesley Fofana. So it makes his second half performance from that moment on from Leicester City all the more impressive, that they've managed to really concentrate on the job at hand after that horrific moment.
Yeah, you have to. You haven't got much choice, but there's a part of you that thinks you just want the game to be over, sort of thing, really. But you know, I suppose the supporters still want to see some entertainment and see players perform. But to say it's taking the edge off proceedings is a massive understatement.
Sumare trying to charge his way through, but runs into traffic. Now Villarreal look to get forward with Josifov. one of the substitutes. Van Foyth, once of Tottenham Hotspur, of course. Was on loan at Villarreal last season, made his deal permanent this summer, Juan Foyth. That's a really clever ball, and it is finished off well too. Well, Villarreal do pull one back. The score 3-1 now, but it hasn't gone down too well at the King Power, to say the least. It was good link-up play from the Spanish side, you have to say. And the fact that Fernino has tucked it home has certainly left a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth.
It was very tight on the offside. I've seen a couple of replays of it. I'm still not convinced it wasn't, but no VAR here tonight, and the assistant referee seemed happy enough with his decision to let the goal stand. And clever play, you have to say. Yeah, nice little reverse pass the outside of the foot. And Fernino, the villain of the piece in a lot of people's eyes, and I have to say I can understand why. Of all people, tucks the goal away, but it still doesn't detract from the dominance of Leicester City. What occurs in the next 15, probably 20 minutes or so, that Fofana incident, extra minutes will be played, is largely irrelevant. Leicester have shown their superiority, and I think in general Villarreal have been disappointed. They won't be too pleased with themselves.
Well, it's around about this time of the game against QPR where things really started to spring into life for Leicester City. They've certainly turned in a more dominant display in front of goal this evening than they did down at Loftus Road, but always disappointing to concede nonetheless.
It is, but I mean, makeshift sounds a little bit harsh, but certainly unorthodox, back three there. You don't imagine those boys will be playing together in the Premier League as a collective anytime soon, so Brendan Rodgers won't be too perturbed by that. His main men, the core of his players in the core of this game, performed exceptionally well.
Well, there may now be a few questions raised about the centre-half position. Obviously, Soyuncu you'd expect to start, but with Fofana looking like he could be out now for an extended period of time. Johnny Evans still on the sidelines. There will be some decisions for the gaffer to make.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be the case. I mean, may well have been looking at bringing a centre-half in of one description or another, whether it be a temporary basis or whatever, but Brendan has a tendency to play 2 or 3 at the back, and if you end up playing it semi-regularly, you need that backup, don't you? You have Castagna as well, who can operate in that situation. But yeah, I think unfortunately that will be the case. They'll have to look at some options.
Nice pass from Thomas, looking to spring Patson Daka free. Certainly blessed with a great turn of pace, Patson Daka, and I'm sure we'll see that as the season progresses. But Raul Albiol just getting across him, and we will see some more substitutions of Villarreal persuasion now. Making way is Jeremy Pino. And Fernino will also depart the King Power Stadium. And as you say, Matt, the villain of the piece. And understandably so. We'll also see former Liverpool man Alberto Moreno make way. Only 9 appearances in all competitions for him last season, as he embraces with a former gaffer in Brendan Rodgers, of course, was his manager for a long period at Liverpool. Foyth. Now Ruben Peña. gets the return, has Danny Rabber on his outside and tries to feed him, but it's a pretty poor pass, to be honest, from one substitute to the other. Here's Alex Mian, defended well by Nelson. But can't stop it from... Well, at least the assistant gave a corner. The referee's given a goal kick. Good defending on the whole.
I'm with you, Niall. I thought it was a corner myself. There's the little things there, you know, minor, but they can make a big difference. For Luke Thomas initially with the throw, you know, don't throw it to Ben Nelson on the bounce. It is an awkward ball to try and control. He should have controlled it, should have done better. But one little mini mistake causes a slightly bigger one, and it could have been even more influential there. Ben Nelson's taking his eye off the ball. You know, throw it to him on the full, on the volley. He'll make no mistake, pop it down. If he miscontrols it, it's his fault. So just little bits there, just to tidy up a shade.
Into the final 9 minutes here at King Power Stadium. Leicester leading Villarreal by 3-1. And if you have just joined us here on LCFC TV, a dominant display from the Foxes up till now. But probably the overshadowing moment was Wesley Fofana making way after a nasty challenge midway through this second half. And it looks like quite a substantial injury for the young Foxes defender. So we wish him all the best and a speedy recovery. Well, tonight, not the first time that Leicester have faced La Liga opponents in pre-season, the likes of Valencia, Athletic Bilbao, Real Madrid, even Barcelona too have pitched up at the King Power Stadium in years gone by to sharpen up ahead of the new campaign.
Well played in that one, though. Okay. Ronaldinho, of all people, made a little appearance.
He was quite good, wasn't he?
Yeah, came down, you're right, quite a good selection through the years. Real Madrid, come and watch that one here at the King Power.
Well, it's all going on. The ball's in the back of the net. It won't count.
I'm not so sure. I think it might, you know.
It might count.
The assistant referee doesn't like playing offside. I think he might be right on this instance.
Well, Villarreal have pulled another one back. It looks like it could be 3-2. Well, there was a player down. It was taken quickly. Danny Ward came flying out and was just comfortably knocked into the back of the net. So it will be a second goal for Villarreal.
Yeah, I don't think he was offside there. He made the run across. Benkovic. I think it was Benkovic's reaction maybe that sort of misled you there, because he seemed so casual, thinking, oh, no, it can't be a goal because he's not even chasing that back. But he was never going to get it. He just gave up the ghost.
Well, it was Alex Mian with the goal for Villarreal.
It was an odd one, that's for sure.
And now this game looks slightly closer than Leicester would have wanted it to be. Certainly the Foxes have, as we say, enjoyed the lion's share of the chances in the possession, and certainly in terms of the style and the way they've played, they've looked more likely than Villarreal on a number of occasions, but they were caught cold there, the Foxes. Certainly I don't think the referee gave the clearest indication that he wanted play to restart quickly, but it did happen, and Ward came flying out, made that decision, the goalkeeper to come out, and Alex Mian had the simple task of tapping it home into an empty net. So it's 3-2.
Yeah, he was just unfortunate, really, Ward. I think he probably... I would say he made the right decision there. Iheanacho through.
Passing Daka.
See, that's where... See, the assistant referee on the far side there, his flag's gone straight up. I would guarantee that he's given Iheanacho offside, and it wasn't Iheanacho who got on the ball. Here you'll see it. Daka's come from an onside position. Flag's gone straight up. They're told to delay it, aren't they? And see what develops. I know it's different VAR in operation as it's not tonight, but...
There's always chaos in pre-season when it comes to the refereeing and the substitutes, players coming and going.
Well, like I said, and it still sticks the same with me, 10-15 minutes or so ago, it's irrelevant what happens in these last few minutes, or remaining minutes. Villarreal can maybe ball in there from Luke Thomas, console themselves if they've pulled a couple back, but they'll know
And it comes from Albrighton, headed away by Real Albiol.
They'll know who were the better outfit on the night, genuinely.
Well, less than 5 minutes remain here at the King Power Stadium. Shaglar Soyuncu opened the scoring for Leicester City, a booming header in the first half, and then it was quickly followed up by a neat finish from Harvey Barnes, following a one-on-one. And then Iose Perez, shortly after the restart, tucked home a simple chance to make it 3. And then Villarreal in the last 15, 20 minutes or so have started to create a few more chances of their own. They've managed to pull a couple of goals back.
Seriously, you see the way he's thrown himself down there. Doesn't get the foul, so I'll have to get up there. I remember having an altercation or two with an Atletico Bilbao centre forward. Ended up putting about 4 stitches in my head, which didn't best please me.
You don't sound like you've forgiven him either.
No, not particularly. Well, that was totally unnecessary as well, that's for sure.
Here's Danny Rabbit for Villarreal. Hoisted out to this left-hand side. Alex Baena. Trying to squeeze past Dennis Pratt. Free kick given in Leicester City's favour. Well, of course, not long now for the Foxes until they travel to Wembley to play the Community Shield against Manchester City. The traditional curtain raiser for the new campaign. Doesn't feel like that long ago that Leicester beat Manchester City 5-2 in the opening Premier League game of last season. Jamie Vardy with a hat-trick, 3 Leicester penalties in that game. Coming up to a year now since that day. And the Foxes will be hoping for more days like that one in the season ahead. For now, though...
Or one on Saturday.
Of course.
You never know.
Will be a good place to start. Here's Luke Thomas and Dewsbury Hall. Ben Nelson. Gets the return from Soumare. Just ran away from him slightly, but does manage to keep control of the ball, the 17-year-old, and does well. And Iheanacho tries to flick it round the corner, but too far ahead of Thomas. Well, as you rightly point out, Matt, the injury to Wesley Fofana has certainly drained a fair amount of energy out of this occasion. And it almost feels like now the players are just searching for that final whistle with just a minute or so to go.
I think they have been since that incident, really. Leicester put a bit of sort of gusto in their performance. 5 minutes or so. You know, the fresh players coming on the pitch. But when you start switching it around, the pattern of the game takes that course anyway. But particularly, you know, with Fofana, incident situation, whichever way you want to call it, has had a massive effect on the atmosphere and the temperament of the players and taking the edge out of the game. And I can 100% understand that.
Trying to focus on the remaining 30 seconds of this game, but it has been hard since that moment took place not to keep reflecting back on what happened.
Yeah, it's just huge. It's huge, isn't it? You know, in many different aspects. None more so than from Wesley Fofana himself. I wonder whether the referee seems a bit incidental, but so do a lot of things after that traumatic injury, but whether he'll play the extra time.
Great work from Iheanacho. Here's Patson Daka. And 3 or 4 of the Yellow Submarine just converged upon him.
The answer to that is no.
And there's the full-time whistle. Leicester City's final pre-season examination comes to an end, and it finishes 3-2 in the Foxes' favour. Villarreal didn't really put up the test that many thought they would, despite the fact they pulled back 2 late goals. It was quite comfortable for Leicester City in the end. Goals from Shaglar Soyuncu to get things started, an excellent header before Harvey Barnes made it 2 shortly after. And then in the second half, great work from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Patson Daka, which allowed Ayoze Perez just to tap home into an empty net for 3-0. And then Villarreal pulled a couple back towards the end of the game. But you have to say, despite the scoreline and despite the fact the season is just around the corner, the injury to Wesley Fofana looked quite a significant one, quite a nasty one. And that has put a dampener on this evening's action. We wish Wesley all the best in his recovery, and I'm sure he'll be back in no time at all, as the Foxes players applaud the Leicester City faithful who are back on Filbert Way, and they'll be hoping to cheer their heroes on again in the new campaign.
Nice touch from the players, you know, probably under the instruction to some degree from Brendan Rodgers. You know, the players genuinely appreciative of the support from everyone here at the King Power, you know, over the years, over the campaigns, and that affection, that appreciation is certainly reciprocated.
Well, Brendan Rodgers said before the game, it's a chance for the players to reconnect with the fans again. And you certainly felt from the moment a ball was kicked, the moment the players ran out for their warm-ups here on Filbert Way this evening, that connection was there. It didn't really ever go away. But it's just so great to see bodies back in the stands again. And they're getting warmly applauded, the Foxes players, from fans all around the ground. And understandably so. A first experience for the likes of Patson Daka, Ryan Bertrand, Buba Sumare of the King Power crowd, and I'm sure they would have enjoyed it. And the atmosphere just starts to crank up a couple of notches once again. So I suppose as pre-season officially draws to a close, Matt, what have been your takeaways from the period that Leicester have had?
Overall, they've drawn the benefit from it, of course, and I think the first 3 games is very much a mix and match situation, as you expected. You know, the squad, the size it is so difficult for Brendan Rodgers to incorporate everyone to any meaningful degree. But tonight was a little bit of a show of the hand, maybe, in terms of what system he's probably looking to a certain degree, what players he's looking to. They were all tried and trusted from the off today. There have been new additions. I wouldn't imagine the starting lineup would be too far away from what it was tonight. Not saying it'll be to the man, but that on tonight's evidence would be quite a good thing, because I think they've been mightily impressive in that first 60-odd minutes up until the horrific Wesley Fofana incident, which has overshadowed everything that's gone on tonight. It's, you know, devastating for him. Huge blow in so many ways. But that apart, without being trivial, that apart in terms of Leicester City's prospects going forward in the season, I think tonight was a huge tonic, and it's conjured up a lot of anticipation now going forward.
Well, the curtain comes down on Leicester City's pre-season for 21-22. Final score here at King Power Stadium: Leicester City 3, Villarreal 2. Well, let's take a look at the goal that was scored by Leicester City, the third in the second half. Great enterprise, great pressure from Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, had only just come on. Patson Daka involved as well. Nice little reverse pass there. And Iose Perez couldn't really miss with the goal at his mercy.
Look at the bodies in and around the box. Initially, the high pressure. There's a time to squeeze and time not. They've got to do it collectively, whichever it is, one or the other. And Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, the beneficiary there, picks up the ball. Give and go, as you say, with Patson Daka. Good awareness by him. But the options were there. There was 6/7 players in and around the penalty area. Nicely tucked away. Good awareness by Dewsbury Hall, who acquitted himself well. Nicely tucked away by Perez.
Well, the game finished closer than Leicester City would have wanted. Villarreal did pull a couple back. This was decent link-up play from the Spanish side, tucked away by Fernino underneath Danny Ward. This was just after a few substitutions had been made, but it was a nice little ball with the outside of his boot, and tucked away by Fernino nicely underneath the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was good. It was good play. You know, neat from the visitors there. Well-timed run. Lovely weighted pass. Benkovic and Nelson there, you know, a little bit loose, lack of communication. Don't gamble unless you're sure with the offside run. And
here's the second goal that they scored, Matt, a very peculiar one. The goalkeeper comes flying out after the free kick was taken quickly. I think there were a few Foxes players just marching back into position that didn't really anticipate that Villarreal were going to take the free kick quickly. Here we are, let's have another look again. And it's clipped over the top by Juan Foyth. And Danny Rabba plays it against the goalkeeper Ward, who did come flying out, and then Alex Mian tucked it home to make it 3-2. A rather peculiar goal, but one that you're glad to see in pre-season rather than the real thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a show of calamities there, wasn't it? But you're right to point that out. I don't think, certainly the free kick was taken 15 yards away from where the incident actually occurred. So, you know, by rights, that shouldn't have been allowed. Leicester slow to react. Dennis Pratt could have nudged the ball away a little bit, been a bit more professional maybe. Danny Ward, I said at the time, probably made the right decision. I'm questioning myself about that now. I just think he was unfortunate. He got the block, but it fell to the goal scorer. Did he need to? I don't know. I think he was probably caught a little bit higher up than he maybe would have liked to have been, because Leicester, you know, the game was going on and the free kick was taken that quickly. It caught him out. So little catalogue of mini calamities there, but you know, nothing too detrimental towards Danny Ward. Some people might think he took the right decision, just bad luck. But it was, it was soft and it was unusual, wasn't it? And slightly bizarre the way it just trickled in the back of the net. But as I mentioned in the commentary, largely incidental to me. The main core of the game, first hour or so, Leicester mightily impressive.
Absolutely. Final score, Leicester 3, Villarreal 2. It's been great to have you with us on LCFC TV this evening. Thanks very much, Matt Elliott. Thanks for your company as well.
Pleasure.
Wherever you're watching. And final score here at the King Power as Leicester close their pre-season preparations ahead of the new campaign. Leicester 3, Villarreal 2.